Right now, thousands of Australian seniors are losing money every month without even realising it. Not because they made a mistake, not because they failed to follow the rules, but because new July pension changes have quietly started affecting how retirement benefits are calculated and paid. And if you were born in the 1940s, 1950s, or 1960s, the scary part is that these changes could affect your retirement income sooner than you think. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what these new July pension rules are, who they affect, and what you need to do right now to avoid costly surprises. Stay with me because one small detail could make a bigger difference to your retirement than most Australians realise. If you're retired, planning to retire, or relying on the age pension to help support your lifestyle, what we're discussing today could have a direct impact on your financial future. And before you assume these changes don't apply to you, consider this. Every year, thousands of Australian retirees discover too late that a seemingly minor adjustment to pension rules, asset thresholds, deeming rates, or income calculations has reduced their payments by hundreds or even thousands of dollars annually. The uncomfortable truth is that retirement rules in Australia are constantly evolving. Most people expect major announcements to dominate headlines, but what financial advisors rarely explain is that some of the most significant changes happen quietly, hidden within annual adjustments, indexation updates, threshold changes, and administrative reforms that many retirees never notice until their next Centrelink statement arrives. And that's exactly why today's video matters. Because the July pension changes now taking effect are already affecting thousands of Australian seniors. Some people will receive more money, others could receive less, and many don't yet realise that their retirement strategy may need to change immediately. The scary part is that doing nothing could cost you far more than you expect. Let's begin with the first major issue that many retirees overlook: changes to pension thresholds and indexation adjustments. Every July, the Australian retirement system undergoes a series of updates. Some are designed to help retirees keep pace with inflation and rising living costs. Others adjust how assets and income are assessed. And while these changes often sound technical, their real-world consequences can be dramatic. Imagine two retirees living on nearly identical incomes. They own similar homes, have comparable superannuation balances, and receive similar pension payments. Yet after a July adjustment, one person receives several $100s more each month, while the other loses entitlement to certain benefits altogether. How is that possible? The answer lies in the way the age pension system calculates eligibility. Small changes in thresholds can create surprisingly large differences in outcomes. Most people don't know that crossing a threshold by just a few $1,000s can reduce pension payments substantially over time. This means that retirees who have recently sold assets, inherited money, withdrawn superannuation funds, or adjusted investment portfolios may unknowingly trigger changes that affect their pension entitlements. And that's where the first major strategy becomes critical. The first thing every Australian senior should do right now is conduct a complete pension eligibility review. This sounds obvious, but in reality, very few people actually do it. Many retirees assume that because they qualified last year, they will automatically qualify under the same conditions this year. Unfortunately, that's not how the system works. Let's consider Margaret, a 72-year-old retiree from Brisbane. Margaret believed her pension payments would remain relatively stable because her circumstances hadn't changed significantly. However, after receiving a modest inheritance from her sister's estate, she deposited the funds into an account and assumed nothing substantial would happen. Several months later, she discovered that her pension entitlements had changed. Not because she had done anything wrong, but because the way her assets were assessed had shifted her into a different category. The result was a reduction in payments that cost her thousands of dollars over the course of the year. The frustrating part? Had she reviewed her situation immediately after receiving the inheritance, she may have had legal options available that could have reduced the impact. This is exactly why reviewing your pension status after every major financial event has become more important than ever. But pension thresholds aren't the only issue creating financial surprises for retirees this year. The second major change affecting Australian seniors involves the ongoing treatment of superannuation and retirement income streams. This is an area where confusion is widespread. Many Australians spend decades building their superannuation balances under the assumption that retirement rules will remain largely predictable. But once retirement begins, the interaction between superannuation accounts, pension payments, deeming rules, and asset tests becomes significantly more complicated. And what financial advisors rarely explain is that even small adjustments to withdrawal strategies can dramatically affect long-term retirement outcomes. Let's take Robert and Helen, a retired couple from Melbourne. They had accumulated a comfortable superannuation balance and believed they had structured their retirement income efficiently. However, after reviewing recent changes affecting pension assessments and investment income calculations, they discovered that their withdrawal strategy was no longer optimal. By restructuring how they access their retirement savings and reviewing the timing of certain withdrawals, they were able to preserve additional pension benefits while improving their overall cash flow. The difference over a 10-year retirement period? Potentially tens of thousands of dollars. Now, does this mean everyone should immediately change their superannuation strategy? Not necessarily. But it does mean that assuming your existing strategy remains optimal could be an expensive mistake. This is particularly important for Australians born in the 1940s, 1950s, and early 1960s, because many are now entering a period where pension eligibility and retirement income planning overlap in increasingly complex ways. And here's where things become even more concerning. Many retirees don't realise that government benefits extend far beyond the fortnightly age pension payment. This brings us to the third major issue affecting Australian seniors right now: concession eligibility and supplementary benefits. Most people focus exclusively on their pension payment amount. That's understandable. But the reality is that concession cards, healthcare benefits, pharmaceutical discounts, energy rebates, council concessions, and various state-based assistance programs can collectively be worth thousands of dollars every year. The scary part is that losing even a small portion of pension eligibility can sometimes trigger the loss of additional benefits that retirees have come to rely upon. Imagine receiving a notification that your pension has been reduced by only a modest amount. That may not sound catastrophic, but what if that reduction also affected your eligibility for healthcare concessions, prescription subsidies, utility rebates, and other support programs? Suddenly, the total financial impact becomes much larger than most people anticipate. This is one of the biggest mistakes retirees make. They focus on the visible payment while overlooking the hidden benefits attached to their eligibility status. And unfortunately, many discover the consequences only after the changes have already taken effect. Let's talk about another issue that deserves far more attention: inflation and purchasing power. Even when pension payments increase through indexation, retirees often discover that their actual purchasing power continues to decline. Think about what has happened over the past several years. Food prices have increased, insurance costs have increased, medical expenses have increased, energy bills have increased, council rates have increased. Virtually every major household expense category has become more expensive. This creates a dangerous situation where retirees believe they're receiving more money, while in practical terms, their purchasing power is shrinking. Consider John, a 68-year-old retiree from regional New South Wales. John noticed that his pension payments had increased over time. Initially, he felt reassured, but when he reviewed his annual household spending, he discovered that his essential expenses had risen much faster than his income. The result? Despite receiving larger payments, he was effectively becoming poorer each year. This is happening to thousands of Australians right now, and many don't realise it until their savings begin disappearing faster than expected. That's why reviewing your retirement budget annually is no longer optional, it's essential. Now let's address one of the most overlooked opportunities available to Australian seniors. Many retirees assume that once they've established their retirement plan, they simply need to maintain it. But retirement planning isn't a one-time event, it's an ongoing process. Every July adjustment creates both risks and opportunities. Some people lose money because they ignore these changes. Others improve their financial position because they actively review and adapt their strategy. The difference often has nothing to do with wealth. It has everything to do with awareness. Most people don't know that relatively small adjustments involving asset allocation, account structures, withdrawal timing, gifting rules, and concession eligibility reviews can potentially create substantial long-term financial advantages. Of course, every situation is different, but the common thread remains the same. The Australians who regularly review their retirement strategy are often better positioned than those who assume everything will simply continue as before. So what should you do right now? First, review your latest pension statement carefully. Second, examine whether your assets, investments, and superannuation arrangements have changed over the past 12 months. Third, review all concession cards and supplementary benefits currently attached to your pension status. Fourth, calculate whether inflation has materially changed your actual living costs. And finally, if you haven't reviewed your retirement strategy recently, now may be the perfect time to do so, because the cost of waiting can be far greater than most retirees realize. Let's be clear, these July pension changes are not necessarily bad news. For some Australians, they create opportunities. For others, they create challenges. But for everyone approaching or living in retirement, they represent something even more important: a reminder that retirement planning is never truly finished. The financial decisions you make today could influence your income, lifestyle, and financial security for decades. And the scary part is that many of the biggest retirement mistakes aren't caused by bad decisions. They're caused by failing to realize that the rules have changed. If there's one lesson to take away from today's discussion, it's this. Never assume your retirement strategy is still working simply because it worked last year. Review it, question it, test it, because one small adjustment today could protect thousands of dollars tomorrow. And before you leave, I'd like to ask you a question. Have you checked whether the new July pension changes have affected your own retirement income or benefits yet? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this information helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because we regularly cover the retirement changes, pension updates, tax strategies, and financial opportunities that Australian seniors need to know about before they become expensive surprises. Remember, staying informed isn't just about saving money. In retirement, staying informed can be the difference between financial stress and financial security.